Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to the alumni online program for the Sunshine Coast Health Center. And we've been talking about this topic of what we can learn from research on therapy. From this research on what clients tell us works in therapy. Okay? Now, for some therapies, such as getting over the fear of flying or fear of spiders or something, that's in a sense kind of superficial. Some of the therapies actually have to deal with a lot more depth, problems with a deeper psychology, addictions being one of them, but also maybe some people who are growing older, right, and facing, the inevitable aches and pains and the approaching death. For some people, we will use therapies with if they've just been given a diagnosis of terminal cancer. Right? It's showing up more and more in the workplace with a lot of disgruntled workers and how they can find more, they can go to work and feel filled up and feel that this is a worthwhile job they're doing. These therapies, and including the ones that we use at Sunshine Coast, are, well, the big fancy term is existential humanistic. But what they mean is we want to look at the human being and how the human being is dealing with his or her life. And so there's a more depth. So so one of the things that we are beginning to discover when we study this kind of therapy is that people shift not only how they make sense of this situation or that situation, but how they make sense of themselves, and how they make sense of the world, and how they make sense of their place in the world. And it's really quite fascinating when we look into this research, because people who tell us that they're doing much better will inevitably tell us that they understand themselves at a much deeper level. They now have this appreciation, for example, that people suffer, or that's, for example, that sometimes life is the gray area. There are no answers. And they've learned to live comfortably in the gray areas of life. And these kinds of more in-depth things, according to the research, has come from this therapeutic help. So before treatment, they didn't have that, didn't have a really good understanding of who they were or how they fit in the world. After therapy, a much deeper understanding, much better understanding of who they are and their place in the world, so that they can be true to themselves. Right? It's actually one of the key pieces here. And we know that's another key piece in therapy too, is people who feel that they're doing better because they're being true to themselves. Okay? So this is another interesting thing that we've discovered from this particular type of therapy, including the therapy at Sunshine Coast, which is what we call a depth psychology, that they gain this greater understanding of who they are and what the world is like and how they connect with the world, and therefore they can be more true to themselves. Including, maybe suffering is kind of normal. Unnecessary suffering is bad, but maybe suffering is pretty normal for human beings. Maybe all human beings suffer, right? Maybe in life, stuff happens, right? You didn't ask for it, but stuff happens. Maybe that's one of the principles of life, and then how to deal with that sort of thing, okay? And that's indeed, when we talk to the alumni of the Sunshine Coast Health Center, that if they're thriving, they will inevitably tell us that they feel more comfortable in the world, they wake up in the morning, they know what they're doing, maybe the job they used to have drives them nuts, but they've figured a few things out and either got a new job or maybe found a new way of looking at the job. Right? And so this seems to be a pretty common dynamic in the people who are feeling better after they leave treatment. At any rate, that's just 5, and there are like hundreds of different ways, of different things people have told us about why recovery, or why therapy works, and why treatment works. At any rate, we'll be back next month with another topic.